Hi everybody, and welcome back to my channel. I have already started on my face. As you can tell, we put on the Revlon Color Stay Foundation and my Tarte Shape Tape Concealer. I decided to do my base first because that time of the month has come, and so my face is breaking out. You can actually see one there. I got a little here, some over here, and so I just wanted my face to be okay before we started this. I'm going to set my face with the Maybelline Fit Me, and my kids are 10 months apart. Now, they were planned to be this close in age. We decided after my daughter was born that my husband and I wanted to have a kid together, and we decided to have them really close so that they had somebody to play with. The difference between the oldest and the middle child is 6 years, and that's quite a bit of a difference, and we didn't want that for our next kids, so we just decided, why not? We'll see what happens. If I were to get pregnant, then I was to get pregnant. We didn't stop it or anything like that. We didn't prevent it, I should say. So we didn't prevent having kids close in age. We actually tried to have kids close in age. Now, when I got pregnant, we were shocked. Not shocked in the sense of we weren't trying. We were shocked in the sense of I was farther along than we thought. So I was a whole month farther along than what we thought I actually was. When I took my test, we thought I was only 9 weeks, and then I had an ultrasound, and it turned out that we were actually 13 weeks. So we were going to have another kid sooner than we thought. I mean, of course, trying and stuff, it wasn't that bad. All right, I'm going to bronze now. So we weren't scared. I mean, of course it's scary. It's scary to have any kind of kids. We weren't scared to have them close in age. We were really excited. We were really ready. Our oldest daughter was really excited for us to have a kid together, to have another baby in the house. Her little sister, of course, she's been around since she was born. My husband and I met when I was 8 months pregnant with my daughter. We got pregnant, and we were trying for a son. My husband really, really wanted a son. Of course, I did too. 2 girls. We needed a boy. We were ready. And so, let's see, we went to our first ultrasound, and we were going to wait until the anatomy scan to figure out if he was a boy. But we couldn't wait that long. So my husband surprised me with a early gender reveal. I can't remember how many weeks I was. It was early. And it was the 4D scan. So we got to see the baby. Super early. We got to figure out if he was a girl or a boy. So it's a boy. So we got to figure out that he was a boy, and we were so excited. We went to the store and we bought a onesie to come home and tell his parents and mine that it was a boy. So we video chatted my mom because she lives down in California, and she was so excited. We showed his parents, and they were so excited because they were getting a grandson. Everybody was waiting for one. So of course our youngest at the time was still a baby, so she had no idea what was going on. The oldest did, and the oldest was there with, so both girls were there with us when we got the scan because they had to be there. They couldn't miss out on finding out if their sibling was a boy or a girl. So my husband took our daughter out of school a little early because the anatomy scan, or not the anatomy scan, just the ultrasound was during her school day, but only by a little bit did she have to miss school. And so they surprised me. They weren't even supposed to be there. So my husband was working. He didn't think that he would get there in time, and then all of a sudden he did, which was so nice. I didn't want to do that without him, of course. And so we got our scan. We figured out that it was a boy. Was so excited, so ready. So my pregnancy with him, it was easy for the most part. I did have quite a bit of pain, which I had with my daughter anyway. So when I am pregnant, my hips decide to spread out too far, and in turn that makes me hurt anytime I need to walk. Sometimes sitting it hurts, but that is really the only complication I have when I'm pregnant. Even with my daughter, I got no morning sickness, nothing like that with both kids. I craved different things. So with my daughter, I craved sweet things really bad. And with my son, I didn't. I wanted potatoes. Potatoes were my favorite thing when I was pregnant with my son. So no complications other than my hips spreading too far, and I actually saw a physical therapist for that, and she gave me this pregnancy belt. It's not like the ones that you can buy at the store. It's actually better, and it would kind of just push my hips back in, and so I had to use that with him. But I had my last OB appointment for my son, and we were a month away from his due date. And so we go in. My husband actually goes with me, so he was able to go to this one. He got out of work early enough, and we go, and the doctor feels, and I'm right where I'm supposed to be. She feels the baby. He feels like he's head down. So we're like, oh, good. So he's already starting to go head down. He's already starting to drop. That's good. I was a month early, so we didn't think that I would go into labor at all. Little did we know. So yeah. So we didn't think that I would go into labor, and she was a midwife. My midwife actually went on vacation for that weekend. So I went in on a Thursday, I think. I would say it was that Thursday. No, it had to have been that Friday. So it had to have been Friday the 25th that I went to my OB's appointment. Well, I wasn't due until February 27th. So we're like, okay, we have another month. She's going to go on vacation. We'll be fine. Nothing's going to happen. Okay, well, the next day, January 26th, I was feeling off all day, like I was sick. So I took a nap because I was just so tired. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to need a nap. Having an infant still and being 8 months pregnant, I'm like, I need to lay down and take a nap real fast. So I slept for probably an hour and a half to 2 hours, and I woke up and I'm like, I'm hurting. Now at first I'm like, it just has to be Braxton Hicks. Which, if you don't know what Braxton Hicks are, they are your body getting ready for contractions. So your body feels like it is contracting, and but yeah, which I had them with my daughter, but I didn't have them as bad as what I was having with my son. So I was having Braxton Hicks for probably about a month before he was born. And I'd get him and I'm like, oh my God, I'm going into labor. No, it was just Braxton Hicks. Now I know what labor felt like. I just had a baby 10 months before that. So I take a bath. So I have my husband call the hospital because I'm like, there is no way these are just Braxton Hicks. So he calls the hospital and tells them that I am in a lot of pain, that it feels like I'm having contractions, that I'm going into labor. I'm not going to go into deep detail about this because it is pretty gross, but I started to lose my mucus plug, and I told my doctor and she said, oh, that's fine because it can grow back. So I started to lose my mucus plug, and then this starts happening. So I'm like, okay, what do I do next? So my husband calls the hospital. They tell him to tell me to get into the bath and drink a lot of water. So I get into the bath and my contractions are 3 to 5 minutes apart. So my contractions are 3 to 5 minutes apart and very strong. And I tell my husband, I'm like, there's no way that I'm not in labor right now. Like, I am hurting so bad. I just had Aubrey 10 months ago. I know what going into labor feels like. And so he calls the hospital again and he tells them she's 3 to 5 minutes apart. They're very strong. And they said, okay, bring her in. We will set her up and we will get her tested, and we'll start testing her. Now, we were in the middle of since I wasn't feeling good, I wasn't going to like cook a big giant meal. So we were in the middle of making pizza for dinner. Luckily, we live with his parents. So they were able to keep both girls while we went to the hospital. So they watched the 10-month-old and she was 7 now, the 7-year-old. They were able to keep them, so we weren't struggling to find somewhere to take them since I shouldn't have been in labor yet. I was hungry, but I tried to eat the pizza on the way to the hospital and I couldn't. I was starving, but I was in so much pain that I couldn't do it. So the hospital's probably about 8 minutes away from where we live. So it wasn't too far of a drive that we needed to do. We got there, we checked in, we let them know, hey, she's in labor. Our maternity ward is upstairs. So we took the elevator. I was in a wheelchair. No, I think with my son, I just walked up there. I don't think I got in a wheelchair yet. He, as in my husband, takes me upstairs so that we can get settled in. They test me. They hook me up to the machines to test to see if I'm having contractions and to see how dilated I was. Now, I was only dilated to about, okay, so I forgot. When I went with my OB, I was dilated to 1.5. When I went to the hospital, I was dilated to a 3. Now, that was when I first got there. She said, let me hook you up to the machines to see what's going on. She hooked me up. She said, okay, we're going to test you again in an hour. And I'm like, okay, is there any way I can get up and just walk around for a minute, go outside if I need to, get some fresh air, call whoever I needed to call because I'm getting tested to see if I'm in labor? And she said, yeah, that's fine. Just come back and we will test you. So my husband and I go walk. We start calling people. I get in. Oh, and then, so we go walk. We go outside for a minute. And then I tell my husband I want to go and I want to get into the bath. So we go back to my hospital room. Now, the hospital room that I was in had its own bathtub in it. It was the only hospital it was the only room in the maternity ward that had its own tub. The other rooms had to share a tub that was around. And I get in, and I last maybe 5 minutes, and I'm like, no, I need to get out. I hurt too much. There is no way. And I tell my husband to get the nurse and tell her that I want to be tested to see how dilated I am. And he said, okay. She comes back in, she tests me, and she said, you are at a 7. Mind you, this is maybe an hour after she tested me the first time, when I was at a 3. So I was definitely in labor. But she feels, and she said, are you sure that your son is head down? And I said, yes. We went to the OB the day before, maybe 2 days, and she said that my son was in position, he was head down, that we were okay. I'm gonna spray my brush and use the glitter that's in this palette. So she said, well, I feel something squishy, so I'm gonna have the doctor come in and do an ultrasound because I don't know if your son is head down. And I said, okay, we will do that. Now, I am in active labor at this point. There's no denying that I am, whether or not I'm in labor. I am. So the on-call doctor was a male doctor. It's the first time I've ever had a male doctor for anything like this, which was fine. He was a great doctor. He did fine. I mean, I was freaking out, of course, because they had to do an ultrasound to see if my son was head down or not. Well, he comes in with the ultrasound and he's like, who told you that your son was head down? And I said, well, I went to my midwife and I had an appointment, and he said, your son is breached and I'm in active labor. So they're like, we're going to do an emergency C-section. I, of course, have never had a major surgery like that. The only surgery I've had was getting my tonsils out, and that was it. So my husband's there and he knows I am starting to freak out a bit. I planned on getting an epidural because I had one with my daughter, and we didn't have enough time for that. I had the gas. I don't remember exactly what it's called, but that was all I had. They were trying to get an IV in me, and I scream, no, I need to push, and my water broke. So mind you, my son is breached. That means he's butt down, if you don't know. His butt is down, not his head, like it's supposed to be. And I can't not push right now. He's coming out. Whether we want him to or not, he's coming. My body is naturally doing it. I can't stop it. So the doctor said, okay, we will deliver this baby right here, right now, breached. So you would think it would take a little longer because it's butt first, it's a little bigger, but it didn't. 3 pushes and he was out. He was perfect. So he was 5 weeks early. He was 5 pounds. He was a preemie. He was jaundice, but that was it. He was a perfect little baby. Tiny, tiny, So my daughter was 7 pounds when she was born. He was 5 pounds when he was born. So he's significantly smaller, but so cute. I will insert a picture right here of my husband holding him. And it's the cutest little thing I have ever seen. So, breached baby, 3 pushes, and he was out. I gave birth all natural, except for the like laughing gas, whatever stuff you would want to call it. All natural. Breached baby was born. I think my hospital said that was the 2nd time that has ever happened to them. So, I mean, it's not very common that you see that stuff. I'm going to do my bottom lash line and then I will be right back. The 10-month-old, when we had our son, she was not very happy. It was the first time we ever left her overnight. So the time span of going to the hospital, I went into labor around 5:30 was when I woke up from my nap. 6:30-ish was when we probably left to go to the hospital. And 7, almost 8 o'clock was when my son was born. It wasn't I wasn't in labor. I wasn't in active labor for very long, 3 hours max. So we're in the hospital, and because he was a preemie, they decided to keep us a couple days. So I was in there for a couple days with him. They just wanted to check him and me since he was a month early. I gave birth all natural, all of that fun stuff. Just wanted to check, make sure we were both okay, which we were. Everything was fine. My doctor was still out of town. Yep. So that happened. So we dealt with the on-call OB, like I said, and he was really sweet. He helped things out a lot. So what happens next? So our daughters come to the hospital to meet their baby brother. The 10-month-old looked at him and kind of didn't do anything. She just looked at him. She wanted mom because I was gone. She wasn't used to me being gone, so she just wanted me around. They came by and then they left again. So my husband stayed with me the first night. No, he ended up going home to take care of our kids. So, okay, so it was just me and Philip. Philip Edward was the baby's name. That is what my husband picked out for our son. I told him if our kid was a son, he would get to pick out the name. So he picked out Philip Edward. I stayed in the hospital. My husband came home to take care of our girls and just make sure they were okay. Of course, he came back super early in the morning to come back with us and spend time with us. And then our daughters came on that little bit later that morning and got to meet their brother. Grammy and Grampy got to meet their grandson. And yeah, so stayed in the hospital a few days, and then we came home. His jaundice levels went up a little bit, but came back down, so we didn't have to go back to the hospital. He was a teeny tiny little thing. The 10-month-old still didn't really want anything to do with him after we came home. She would come around him sometimes, but it wasn't until he laid by himself on the floor that she actually wanted to come around him. But she got used to her baby brother. He's actually 1, so he's 15 months this month on the 26th, and he's in 18-month clothes, almost in 2T. He is a chunk. I will insert probably a little clip of him right now so you guys can see what he looks like. And yeah, so that is our little Philip. That is little brother. So yep, I'm gonna finish my look really fast and then we will hop back on to say goodbye, and you guys can see the final look for our story time Get Ready With Me. And there we have the final look. I did my brows, did my lashes, did my lips, and so that's what we're working with today. If you enjoyed this story time, please subscribe and hit that bell so you are updated when I upload, because it is not on a consistent, yeah, that's the right word, basis, because my life is hectic with 2 toddlers. Thank you for watching this, and I will see you guys next time.